Alright guys, what's up? Welcome back to the podcast, back to Tomboy Official. Today I stumbled across an ad this morning for a clothing brand called Stereotype Kids. Excuse me. It came out on my Instagram. It looks like they have posts on Pinterest. They have an athletic skirt for $119. That's for the extra small size. Extra large size seems to be like the same price. And it's kids clothing. It has their about information. Okay. It's basically geared towards kids. It looks like it says me is all I want to be, and it has info about Stereotype. It says you can read it if you want to. They have boombox logos on things. And t-shirts. They have adult Stereotype t-shirt, and then they have like the adult size. They have active pants. So I think their target audience, their target buyer is, the queer community. You see the sweats kind of cuffed at the bottom with the kid on a skateboard, and the outside of the sweats, the color is gray with some striped lines, and then inside is pink, and then the kid has some striped rainbow socks on. All the kids seem to be wearing, there's a hero skirt and athletic skirt. The hero skirt is $85. It has some kind of lace interior, with the outer skirt part being like a little, looks like it's a pinkish purplish with some polka dots, white polka dots or something. And it's I don't know, it looks like it has a drawstring or something like that. It might be a wrap or a drawstring. And all the kids seem to be wearing, so the kids have leggings or shorts underneath the skirts. The athletic one looks like it's denim. I could be wrong. It has a denim look to it. But yeah, otherwise it's just shirts and beanies and jackets, and I don't know if there's jackets. Just shirts and beanies and things with boom boxes on them, which is kind of interesting because I don't really think people really use boom boxes like that anymore. Like maybe a Bluetooth speaker, but I haven't really seen a boombox in ages. Usually it's like a USB charged Bluetooth speaker, and when the battery runs out, you can't use it, or you have to charge it. I haven't really seen a straight up boombox in a bit. I know they exist, but as far as a new boombox, I don't think that any have really come out. But yeah, so boomboxes, I don't even know if young kids really know what boomboxes are. I don't know. I think they said the brand was made by mothers. I don't really know, but they have some adult size clothing too. I found it interesting because it seemed like it was marketing initially to boys who want to wear skirts. That's what the first ad was that kind of caught my attention. That was like something along the lines of like boys can wear skirts too. But it seems like they only really have 2 skirts, and then everything else is like t-shirts for the most part, and a little bit of like rainbow colored lettering, rainbow colored boom boxes, some bits of glitter and stuff like that. So it's kind of like kids clothing, but they have a few items. I don't know what I think about it. I don't have kids. I couldn't care less if kids wear skirts or not, like boys, girls, whatever. It doesn't really matter to me. I know in history, like if you look back past like near like the 1800s or so, when you look at like old pictures, it's not uncommon to see pictures of all the little kids wearing dresses. They say it was like easier for, changing diapers, and like little boys would wear dresses back then. They would put their little boys in dresses, like young little boys. Like you could never tell the difference between like which kids were the boys, which kids were the girls, and they would just have them in dresses, and that was pretty normal. And I don't know what age range did they start to not wear dresses, but I mean, kids wearing dresses isn't like a brand new thing. It was a functional thing in parts of American and European history. But and then so yeah, it was kind of like I don't know. It was kind of a good time. Like seeing those types of things, but I mean, there are plenty of cultures where, kids, like there's usually a type of gendered clothing, usually a binary gender clothing of boys wear this, girls wear that, but across cultures. And usually you'll see, even in cultures where people hardly wear any clothes, like where they have like loincloths and things like that, sometimes boys have long hair, sometimes they wear, like a loincloth of some form. Some cultures, little kids aren't really wearing a lot of clothes anyways when they're running around. It really can just vary. But I don't really see it as like anything too like I don't really see it as anything too like shocking. I just think I can tell it's something controversial, if that makes sense. I've watched recently, I think it was on Cut, C-U-T, the YouTube channel, about, they tend to have these debates, like these people who believe something on this side versus people on this other side. And there was one about like trans people, and just because somebody has a skirt doesn't mean they're trans, but I mean, like, I'm talking more like gender expression. But there was one that was, trans people, like people who are trans identified people, having a conversation with people who didn't believe in trans rights. And I found the conversations to be interesting because I usually find that, when people are arguing or debating rights of either gender-related things or sexuality-related things or whatever it may be, I do notice that the people who don't believe in the rights tend to kind of take a stance that's like some other thing that they're thinking about on their mind. That's why they think that these people shouldn't have rights. So, for example, some things that the worried parents were listing were things such as, think about it. So, trans people having trans rights and, versus like, okay, that's the topic, if that's the topic. And then people talking about kids on TikTok being exposed to drag and being exposed to like a drag story hour on like a smartphone or smart device, and having like exposure to drag culture and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just like, okay, like that has nothing to do with really like anything, right? Like what your kid is watching on TikTok, how does that translate into trans people not needing to have rights, right? Like those are two different topics, I feel. And someone else brought up a topic about the bathrooms, like that, there could be some perverted people, some perverted cis men who want to disguise themselves as, trans women and go into the bathroom and peep and be like really like abusive and like trying to like peek through the doors and stuff at women using the toilets. Again, if somebody's a pedophile, if somebody is some kind of perverted creeper kind of person, who's using, abusive methods to do things, I don't think that is representative of the trans community. So a lot of times when people have these arguments, it's kind of weird where it's like they're thinking about some topic that's like not really the full spectrum of the group, right? They're thinking about abusive people or people who are trying to maybe push an agenda at their kids, or someone who's trying to go against their religious beliefs. It's like you can still have your religious beliefs and believe that trans people can have rights. I mean, like, it's kind of like a weird thing, like, but I feel like the reason why people think that trans people shouldn't have rights isn't because of trans people themselves. It's because of their ideas about all these other segments that they think are going to be negatively impacted, and people are going to take advantage of it to use it for like abusive methods, to use the new rules or laws that are protective of people being able to use the bathrooms, or people being able to have be able to wear the clothing that they're comfortable with. So okay, I gotta start this session, then I'll be back. Alrighty, so I basically was sorry, I think I need to put something in the sink real quick. I was looking back at the YouTube video I was referencing. It was not from the Cut channel, it was from Jubilee. So the official title of it is, let me get to the official title. The official title says, Trans versus Conservative Women. Are periods essential to womanhood? Middle ground. So it's a middle ground series episode by Jubilee. But yeah, kind of same idea of just taking diversity issues, to a conversation between two different groups of people. I mean, let me see. And it is kind of interesting that they put the label conservatives. I guess is kind of assuming maybe that trans people aren't conservatives. I think overall the label of conservative does imply a lot of things. It usually implies that people would have similar viewpoints to the conservative people in these videos, in this video in particular. But some of the topics they go over, so they ask, is the trans movement indoctrinating, I don't see the rest of the word, but it seems like, is it indoctrinating youth? Let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to scroll on here. Indoctrinating our youth or kids or something like that. The next question was, or statement was, I am comfortable sharing bathrooms with the other side. So that would mean trans people sharing bathrooms with conservative people, and conservative people sharing bathrooms with trans people. The ability to give birth is a woman's strength. They talk about that, their ideas surrounding that, their ideas surrounding trans women. Trans women should be allowed to compete in, I think it's women's sports or competitions. Gender dysphoria is real, and I have been sexually harassed. So those are the topics for the video. And I think overall it just shows kind of a better view and perspective of kind of the questions that might come up, topics that might come up, and how people kind of view those topics. People are able to kind of give their viewpoints, their opinions. I mean, there's definitely a lot of controversy in this topic. It's very how do I say? It's kind of, I think, a lot to unpack. I don't know. I've always been a big believer in knowing people from different backgrounds, different cultures, different mindsets. I mean, I don't think that anyone should be forced to hang out with abusive people or just people who just kind of generally don't care to, create a sense of community or good friend and family relationships and things like that. If they don't want to create a positive environment, I don't see any reason why people should put energy into it. If they don't want to create a safe and wholesome environment. But other than that, I really do believe that it helps when people know others of different backgrounds. I find it hard to not want trans people to have rights, equal rights, because I know a lot of trans people. like when I think about my trans friends, I'm not thinking, oh yeah, I want them to suffer, or like some of these topics, like say for example with the YouTube or whatever, I don't know, so say some of the topics about like people getting concerned about indoctrination of children about the transgender movement. I don't think that trans people shouldn't be able to have social media and talk about their own lives. I don't find that to be something that for myself that I would promote. I mean, if people have kids, I don't know. I don't have kids, but I don't think I would want my kids on TikTok. I don't think I would want my kids on Instagram, unless they were able to prove, that they were responsible. I don't think my kids would be on TikTok. My kids wouldn't have television either. Like, I'm not really into necessarily sheltering kids from different populations of, like cultures. I'd want them to firsthand experience, being around trans people, firsthand experience being around gay people, firsthand experience being around people of different ethnicities and different races and different religions. I'd want them to know people, to have people in their lives, to hang out with those people. I don't think they should be learning from TikTok. That's my viewpoint. I don't think I would mind my kids being maybe like with other people's children and, knowing that at their house they'd be watching TV and watching movies, on television or online and going on like smartphones and things like that and like tablets. But I would be teaching my kids about conservative viewpoints and teaching them about prejudice and teaching them about equal rights and all these types of things and letting them experience those things firsthand so that, if they do come across something at somebody else's house where it's like, oh, like here's this viewpoint. I mean, I would have already taught them that exists and they would already know people from those communities. I don't think I would be concerned about indoctrination. I would probably indoctrinate my own kids with my own values and my own beliefs, and they would not have full access to TikTok and all types of social media. Because I think there's an age-appropriate level. These are my own personal opinions, but there's an age-appropriate level of what kids can kind of absorb and understand and know. I wouldn't want them to be isolated from technology and not know how to use it and interact with it and expand their mindsets and viewpoints of other people. But I'd want them to actually have firsthand experience more so than internet experience of indoctrination. I would want them to have indoctrination from living their life in a diverse environment. I would value that. That's part of what I value. I know everyone thinks differently, but everyone has their own different opinions, and I also don't have kids, so that's just what I think, is that there's a lot of things that I grew up with that I found valuable. I found it valuable to be raised in LA around a lot of different types of people with a lot of different viewpoints and people having to kind of find a way to kind of get along, to find some form of understanding of the differences that we all have and be able to work together, be together, study together, and understand each other and respect one another. Not just say, oh, we're not going to talk to those people. Anyone who looks like them, we don't talk to them. anyone who is from that background, we don't talk to them. It's like, no, that one person was a negative experience that happened to be in this category of religion or this category of person. It's not that we just don't talk to those people. Like I mentioned, when it comes to my own beliefs about, like, people who just don't value, creating like safe and, safe environments, the people who have a lot of narcissistic and abusive tendencies, those are the types of people, the antisocial, not social, but antisocial as in like the harmful antisocial, types of psychological issues that people might have, towards like manipulating others and all this other sorts of stuff and harming other people and being abusive and backstabbing and lying about things, those are the types of people that come up in any kind of background of diverse background, and those are the types of people that I would say I wouldn't really want my kids to be exposed to or around. I don't value the experiences with those people. It's good to know how to interact around it because, they might become your bosses, or they might become your landlords, or they might become your roommates, or they might become someone that you date. You might come across those people. So it's good to kind of know how to kind of respond. But I think, those are the types of people who create trauma in other people's lives, and if I could avoid my kids being traumatized by somebody, I would definitely do that. But I just think that's what I look at, is more so intent to harm, the people who are intentionally harming. Those are the types of people that I would say, no, I don't want them being around my kids. Otherwise, I really wouldn't mind what type of person is around my kids. The way that I'm thinking of it now, there's not really any other real exception that I would have, that I can think of. When they talk about sharing bathrooms with the other side, sharing a bathroom, I think I've talked about this before. The first time I remember sharing a bathroom, while I was in a bathroom, was at a boba spot in, I don't know if it's technically in Torrance or Lomita, but a boba shop, I think it's in Lomita. It was called Go-Go Juice, and I don't know what it's called now, but it was this little shop on PCH, and they had a bathroom. We used to go there like almost every weekend, and they had a bathroom where, they did some renovations to things, and I think they just made it one bathroom. It was any gender, and I remember being in a stall once, I'm sitting there on a stall in one of the stalls, and someone else comes into the stall next to me, and I see, you can see the shoes, and their feet are facing the other direction, and then I hear, like, urinating, and I'm like, there's somebody in here who's urinating standing towards the toilet. Like, that was something I could definitely tell was happening. And I was like, oh, because I knew that the bathroom had any genders, but that was my first experience being in a bathroom where somebody just casually came in and was using the bathroom, and I didn't think anything of it. That was a long time ago, and there was a time maybe after that, I don't know how many years, but there was a time when I was at a boba shop. This is a different example. Like, nothing happened in that first example. We were just using the bathroom. There was no weirdness about it. The only, I guess if I wanted to call it weirdness, The only weirdness I experienced is just that it was unexpected, but I did know, like, I did see I had seen the signs on the bathroom. So, I knew that, I saw the signs on the bathroom, so I knew kind of what to expect, that it was possible that guys might come in there. No, I believe the bathroom was 2 stalls with doors. I don't remember there being a urinal. To my memory, maybe there was, but I just don't remember. I don't remember there being a urinal. I don't remember. I kind of just don't remember that. I don't remember there being a urinal. I don't remember any time before or after that where someone else had come in, and that bathroom was built with like the main door had a lock on it. And so if you were in there and you wanted to be alone, you technically could have locked the main door and been in the bathroom in one of the 2 stalls by yourself. So, I mean, I had another experience with just like a single stall, those bathrooms that are like single stalls. So I was in another boba shop. It was a different one in the same kind of area. And I don't know if I went to this shop to study with a friend or if we were just hanging out, but I remember going in the bathroom, and at the time the lock was broken in that bathroom, and it hadn't always been broken, but it was broken. And I remember this group, the area where I was in was always just like, the Asian people owned the restaurants and owned the shops, these specific shops. At that time period, most of my friends in the area were Asian American people. I was there with an Asian guy who was from a different background of a country, from another group of Asian guys who walked in, and they're all kind of speaking their language and just kind of laughing and giggling. And I thought it was a little odd. Like, they were acting a little weird, but it wasn't like disruptive. Like, they were being a little, I could tell that it wasn't like the usual group that I usually saw. And so I remember going in the bathroom, and it was a single, like I mentioned, like you walk in, it's just one door, and there's just a toilet and a sink. So I remember going to the bathroom like really quick, and then I remember at the time when I was like washing my hands, one of the guys comes up and like opens the door, because I thought, he's trying to like sneak a peek at something. I knew what was going on. Like, I'm not an idiot. I could kind of tell the situation. You can kind of tell by people's body language or their interactions, their kind of like who knows, you know what I mean? But I could kind of tell even before that happened that they were there just to be weird. Like, they weren't buying anything. We were sitting, like, I don't know, I can't explain the arrangement of how this store was kind of laid out, but I kind of knew that somebody might walk in, so of course I'm going to go to the bathroom, like, real quick, because the door wasn't locking. And then I wasn't surprised that the person walked in and acted like it was going to be an accident. Like, I wasn't surprised at that. I was like, I'm sure that's what they were laughing about. And the guy who did it, when I came out, there were probably like maybe six of these guys, maybe six guys. The guy who did it didn't, like, he wasn't like communicating or laughing or giggling or like making like a scene or anything. You could tell that he felt like he was maybe pressured to do it, because he wasn't even like laughing along with the other people even before. Like when they all sat down, he was just really quiet, just sitting there. And so I just remember just being like, I came and sat down with my friends, like, are you okay? Because when I come out of the bathroom, like, there's like, these guys are all just like laughing, and I'm just like thinking like, okay, you didn't like see anything. I was literally like washing my hands. Like, I don't know what is so funny, but yeah, like things like that where I'm just like, they knew that the bathroom door wasn't working, they knew that I went in there because the only people that were in that shop were me and my friend, and then that group of guys, other than the workers up in the front. And we were in the back. Like, it was like a back section, and the bathroom was in the hallway. And so they knew I was in there, and they waited like a little bit of time, but it wasn't that long. But I was like quick, like within 30 seconds, like I was done doing what I was doing. And so he walked in probably within like closer to like the minute mark. And I'm just thinking like, I was just like, these guys are just like idiots, like they're just probably going to sit here all afternoon, just waiting for women to walk into the restroom so they can walk in on somebody. I'm like, really? Like, that's probably all they were there for. They weren't buying anything. They weren't playing any games with any of the things there. But that kind of thing, I mean, that is like some kind of weird, like perverted kind of activity. Like, that's what I would consider something that's like not necessarily appropriate bathroom behavior. So when they have this question, like, I'm comfortable sharing bathrooms with the other side, I mean, for me, I don't care who I share bathrooms with, but there is a complete difference between somebody trying to sneak a peek or somebody trying to like pretend like, oh, I didn't know, like if you don't know somebody's in the bathroom, you knock. I think everybody learns that from the time they're like a little baby. You learn how to knock on the bathroom. You're not knocking on the bathroom. You're knocking on the door when you don't know if somebody's inside of it. And so I feel like that was like a really strange experience. And that I wasn't like, I don't know if I was mad. I was more just like, these guys are idiots, like if they really want to see like naked women or whatever, like the bathroom at a boba shop is not the place to really be trying to do that. And like we were definitely outnumbered. There were two of us and probably like six or so of these other guys. So even if we wanted to like start an argument or something, we could have done that. But it's like, of course there's like, we're outnumbered, 2-6. And then also me being the only like non-Asian person in an Asian-owned establishment with all Asian customers, that's another thing where it's kind of like, okay, like, I mean, it's still minorities, but, like, they have their own thing going on. So I was kind of debating. I was like, would I go tell the cashier to tell their manager that those group of guys are, like, literally purposely walking in on people? I thought about it, and I didn't, because I was just like, I'm the only one here, but, if it were now, I probably would have confronted them. I would have probably now just gone up and sat at their table and just started a conversation and been like, yo, what's up, buddy? and just had a face-to-face conversation with the guy who was doing it and the group of people who were sitting at the table. I literally would have done that now, and just to not avoid the situation, I literally would have just sat there with them and had a conversation and talked about it. And like, that's kind of how I am now. I'm just kind of like, yeah, if somebody's gonna try to do something that's weird, I'm not really gonna ignore it. But also, like, he didn't really see anything, so I'm kind of like, okay. But just the fact that, like, somebody's gonna try to do stuff like that in broad daylight, I know that it exists. So it's kind of like, when people say, okay, like, I don't want somebody taking advantage of a situation, to, use their gender to be able to do stuff like walking in on people in stalls that might be broken, or walking into a bathroom and maybe being tall enough to see over the stalls and, like, looking through the cracks of, because some bathrooms really aren't, they don't provide a lot of privacy. Like, I think we all have been in bathrooms where the crack is, like, so big between the door and, like, the wall that you're just like, dude, people can probably see in, like, I've been in bathrooms before with women in bathrooms where, people are in line for the stalls, like, standing in front of the stall, facing the stall. And there was somebody, I remember literally making eye contact with somebody, like, because the gap was so big between, like, the door and, like, the little wall section. I remember literally making eye contact with somebody, and she's, like, staring at me, and I'm, like, staring back out from, I'm in the stall, she's outside the stall. This is at some club in North Park, and she's staring into the stall at me, and I literally just flipped her off, and she turned around, and I was just like, okay, so she could clearly see me if she sees me, like, flipping her off. So it's like, okay, like, that was a woman, so I'm kind of like, it doesn't matter what gender the person is. If they're a pervert, they're going to be a pervert. It doesn't really matter. Like, being trans, being gay, like, I've shared plenty of bathrooms with plenty of gay guys that just whip it out, and they're just in there in the urinal, just peeing and having a good old time, and everybody's in line jamming to the music, and there's people with penises and people without them, and I've seen people without penises using the urinal with the door open, and you're just like, what is going on here? Like, women squatting over the urinals and stuff, and people are coming in and out the door, and, like, it's visible, but nobody's paying attention. Nobody's like, we're all just kind of like, this is how it is, like, some places you go in and you're like, this is what's gonna happen here, and I remember being in a bathroom once with people. There were, I don't know, they're females, they looked like females, and one of them was trying to explain to the other ones how to squat over the urinal. So she does it, and then another random person in the line who was, like, behind me, that didn't know there were, like, 2 or 3 female friends that were, like, standing next to the urinal while their friend was peeing in the urinal. Their female friend was squatting over this urinal, peeing in it, and then I'm at the door, because you have to, like, be at the door. So I'm at the door's kind of slightly cracked because I'm, like, inside the door, but in the crack of the door, and then somebody was in the hall behind me, but she could kind of see what they were doing, and she was, like, not trying. There's, like, a single stall and a urinal, and so she didn't want to wait for the stall. She was like, well, if you don't mind, I'll just see if they can teach me how to do that. So she goes in line in front of me to the urinal and starts asking these girls, how do you do that, and then she was trying to explain to her how to do it, and she explained it, and then she starts doing it, and meanwhile, I'm just standing there like, why is this person taking so damn long in the stall, like, I'm not going to be squatting at this urinal that's right in the doorway, like, but it was just like that. It's like, nobody was harassing anybody. The security guard standing at the door just, like, laughing, and, it's just like, it was like a party in there. Like, I don't know, it was like a pissing party. I don't know what else you would call it. Like, everyone was like socializing, and like I find my chance in the stall, and everybody's learning how to use this urinal now, and I'm just like, yeah, the DJs are good. And I go out to wash my hands, and I'm like talking to the next people in the line, and like nobody really cared. Like, nobody was harassing anybody. I mean, and all types of genders were coming in and out of that bathroom, and the bathroom across the hall from it. People were just, you know, not harassing one another. Also, there was a security guard right there. They always have security, but it was a different type of experience. And, you know, I've been to plenty of places where you're often using the bathroom with any gender of people. Riches is like that. Flicks is like that. Gossip Grill is like that. There are a lot of places in Hillcrest that are like that. The bathroom situations kind of vary, but I'm accustomed to just using the bathroom with whoever is in the bathroom with me. I never really care who's there. But I mean, I really don't think that just because somebody's trans or somebody, you know, was born with male genitalia, that means that they're going to be more likely to be a creeper. I don't really believe that. I don't think that just because, you know, if they open up the ability for trans women to use women labeled restrooms by law, to have that right to use the bathroom. I mean, like, come on, what do you want people to do? You know, it's a bathroom, you know? I mean, they're going to be perverts that come in the bathroom regardless of what the gender is. And it doesn't mean just because they're trans, other people are going to be likely to take advantage of it and, like, put on a dress and say that they're a woman, or a cis straight man who's, you know, just kind of some creeper kind of guy is going to start just peeking all into women's restrooms and stuff. Like, I don't really see that as necessarily a valid argument. Like, just in my own experience, I've experienced enough weird people as it is, and plenty of non-weird people as it is, you know, just using restrooms where there's different gender law. Like, I don't know if it's really a law, but like, it's allowed. I think that maybe if people are concerned, they should have security guards. I feel like the security guards kind of limit people from having sex in the bathrooms, from doing weird stuff in the bathrooms. If they have any weird intentions, they'll see the security guard right there, and they'll know, you know, and not to try anything stupid. But anybody who wants to try to peek and creep around, you know, they're going to do it regardless. And I would say that's not the majority of people, but it only really takes one. But, you know, sometimes it does take reading the situation, knowing where you're going. I mean, you know, I don't know. I find it hard to believe that if there was security at a bathroom, that there would be a high likelihood of people abusing the law, just to simply sneak a peek. Those people do it anyways. Like I mentioned, like, I've had a couple experiences, probably more than those, but those are the ones that, just for examples purposes, just kind of stick out right away, where I've had experiences with men and women both just being weird and trying to, like, sneak a peek, and both of them knew they were in the wrong, and, you know, both of them knew what they were doing. You know, it's not like it was an accident. Neither one of them were an accident. The one that I flipped off while I was sitting in the stall, I mean, like, she turned around, like, right away, right once I flipped her off. So clearly she saw the middle finger. If you can see me flipping you off from inside a stall, you're paying attention to something. So that's just kind of my opinion on that. But I don't really think um, that the bathroom thing is necessarily something to worry too much about, especially if they do it right. I mean, women can be predators too. It doesn't mean that women are going to be less safe in a restroom if there are people who were assigned male at birth coming in the bathroom. I think I would maybe worry more so in like a bar setting, like straight bars. I think I would worry more in a straight bar setting that there would be people who are like too heavily under the influence, can't really handle their liquor or alcohol or whatever, and they're high or drunk and can't really, they're acting strangely, and I would see that as a risk. But I would say those places need to have security. I don't know if I've ever had any issues in gay bars or clubs. um uh it's just all been, I mean, if there were people looking and peeking around, I don't think I've noticed it. I know Gossip Grill, like the place where you even put the toilet paper, a lot of times doesn't even have like an actual like real like privacy thing between, like, basically when you take the toilet paper out from the place in the stall, there's like this big hole in the wall of the side of the stall. So if you're in the middle one, and either to your left or your right, there could be like a hole in the side of the stall. Like, that's not what normal bathrooms are like. I don't know if they intentionally left it there for like a shock and surprise kind of factor. But even with a situation like that, I've never had an issue with like eyes peering through a hole, like, when I'm like sitting on the toilet and like, oh shit, like somebody's like looking in here. Like, I've never had that experience. Everybody's just respectful, and the ability's there. It's like right there. But I think everybody understands we're here for the freaking bathrooms. Like, but I mean, there is definitely, in queer culture, there's definitely like a hookup culture kind of thing. It's not uncommon for people to be in long ass bathroom lines and just flirting with like whoever the heck is next to you, because you're going to be there a while, and why not waste some time and just have some little bit of fun, like, but other than that, I'd say that's about as far as things have gone. Other than, people trying to, I don't even know if I'm supposed to explain this. But yeah, like people attempting to come into a stall with you if they want to make out or something, or I think that's about as far as it goes. Usually they have the attendants in the bathroom, or like some kind of, people usually deter other people from going in couples, because they know they're waiting in line and it's just going to make the line go longer if people are hooking up in the stalls. They usually have signs on the bathrooms: no vaping, no couples, one at a time. Like, I don't remember where I there's some place that I go that says, like, don't hook up in the bathroom. That's what the couches are for, kind of thing. Like, I don't, because it's like, yeah, people go in there, and I've been at the bathrooms at Flicks where there's one that has like the single stall where people were hooking up in there, and the line was like, my friends were waiting for me for like 20 minutes, and they were like, where were you? I'm like, yeah, there are people like fucking in the stall, and the other one has no door. So it's kind of like either use the one with no door or wait for the people to finish hooking up in the bathroom, kind of thing. And so, and it was a busy day. Like, I don't mind just using the bathroom, whatever, but it's like, I'm not trying to like use the bathroom with the door like hanging wide open. So, yeah, so those types of experiences, I would say, Like, I've never had like an experience with with sorry, I gotta message this person back. One second. All right. So yeah, that's kind of all I have to say about the bathroom stuff. Let me see. I have like almost nothing to say about the ability to give birth is a woman's strength. Birth is an amazing thing, but I don't plan on giving birth. I don't want to give birth. I'm not interested in giving birth. It just doesn't appeal to me. I don't know if I even really want kids, in all honesty. Like, I just can't realistically see it with the cost of living, and not being a, like with the cost of living and being, I don't know. Just with the, I don't realistically see it happening. I wouldn't mind adopting or something along those lines, being like a foster parent or something. But I know from having this type of work that I've been in this type of job, I don't know how it would be to take on another emotionally demanding task involving raising kids. This job that I'm in does seem to have a lot of similarities to the dependence, the levels of dependence that people have on you, and that was one thing that I don't like about the job. And so I don't know if I think about, with kids, so I think about it with kids. I honestly have the thought of, would it be too overwhelming to raise kids or a kid or whatever? I don't really know. I did this type of work for 7 years employed, so a little over 7 years, about 7 years and a bit over a month employed. And I know it's different when you have like a caseload full of high severity populations of people versus one kid that's your own kid, or two kids that are your own kids, versus like a caseload of like somewhere between 30 and 70 people. It's like, that's a whole different thing. But also with these types of jobs, it's like with work you can quit anytime. So I really don't know. Like, it's something that I think would be a lot to do by myself, to try to raise a kid or multiple kids by myself on my income. I mean, I have a hard enough time in San Diego or LA trying to, make sure I can afford my own financial goals. I mean, I'm definitely getting there, but to be able to actually do it realistically, it just takes a lot of focus, and kids are definitely an expense. Like, I really wouldn't mind having kids, but it would probably come from, being in a relationship with somebody and them having kids. I could see that happening. It's already almost happened once. I could see that more realistically happening. And then the financial piece would have to add up. I mean, I feel like as a non-straight person, this is kind of a weird conversation about birth and that kind of thing. Like, I know that they're not talking about the same thing that I'm mentioning. Like, I know their topic is more so around womanhood and the strength of women, and the fact that if you only have basically you need certain genitalia and certain equipment to be able to give birth. Like, you can't give birth if you don't have that. It's not going to be possible, at least not in today's day and age. But I don't know of any surgery that even anybody can get that would make it so you're able to get pregnant and have kids. I mean, maybe it exists. I mean, if you don't, like, say if you were born, assigned male at birth with male genitalia, and you decided you wanted later in life to give birth, could you technically get everything, installed? I don't know what the word is. Could you have like surgical procedures in a way where you would be able to actually get pregnant and give birth naturally? I don't know. I've never heard of anything like that. I don't know if it exists. It might exist, but just they never do it. I really don't know. I mean, we could clone, so I would assume that would be easier than cloning. To me, surgery seems, I don't know. Like, I'm not a doctor, so I can't really say. I don't really know. Like, you'd have to have a lot of different things, but I think you could maybe do that. But it's just, I've talked about it with other gay friends of mine about, do you want kids? Are you going to have kids? What do you think about having kids? Like, I think a lot of my gay friends want kids. And I do see that with a lot of my gay male friends who want kids, that would like to have, some part of their genetic identity, in a child. They kind of have a bit of, I don't know what the word is, but it can be stressful for them when they want that, when they want kids, but they're with a man and they can't have kids. It's kind of like, that's a struggle, I can tell. Like, I've never really fully thought through about like actually wanting kids or having the desire to have kids. There is a part of my mind that does kind of naturally think about like, oh, like if I had a kid or whatever. But I don't think it's something I'm like yearning for. But if it happened, I wouldn't be like disappointed and like unhappy. it's just not, I could kind of take it or leave it, I guess. I do like kids a lot. I love kids. Like, I think I'm good with kids. I love kids. I've had a lot of experience with kids. I love being around them. I like taking care of them. But I've never had like long-term, other than like working for schools and stuff, and like babysitting and things like that, I've never really had kids, but it is an interesting conversation in the queer community of people, to be talking about kids, because it isn't really something that is legal everywhere. Your kids might not have the same rights if you have like if you have a partner, like the one partner might not have equal rights with the kid, like I think the L Word had a lot of good examples, maybe like for example, I mean, I'm gonna spoil some things from the past seasons, but from when Bet, a cis biracial lesbian female, so Bet, her partner, who was a white bisexual lady, got pregnant so they could have a kid together. And so they got a black donor and used Tina's, she was a white lady, her eggs to make a biracial baby. And they basically had to go through this whole process. But in the show of the real L Word, it shows how pricey it is to, get the donor, the information about the donors. Or the kids want to have contact with their donor father in the future, and then what's gonna happen. Technically, I guess the donor father would have more rights to a child than the partner that didn't birth the child. And so there's different dynamics that just make it really complex when it comes to kids, when you're not a cis straight person in just like a hetero relationship. You got other things going on. It depends on what state you're living in. In one of the episodes of the L Word, Max gets pregnant. Max was a trans male. He gets pregnant because he has a female body, and he had hooked up with this with a gay male, and got impregnated, and was definitely struggling with a lot of dysphoria, because during that time was just about to want to get a surgery. Didn't know about getting top surgery, but was gonna get bottom surgery, and then was gonna give birth to a baby in 9 months. And just the conversations about like adoption, it can be really tricky. And so and then on top of that, the judgment that comes with it, in different communities, your kids going to school with two parents of the same sex and all this kind of stuff. It's just, I had a friend that had, when I was young, I had a friend who had two moms, and her name was Charisse, and I think I knew her since I was in 3rd grade. And I don't know what I thought I mean, I've also known, people whose parents were porn stars. I mean, it's not relevant. I'm just saying, like, it's not, like, related to the same topic at all, but I'm just saying, like, considering the conservative background that I was raised around, I definitely was not conservative, like, in my own viewpoints ever, for the most part, other than when it came to maybe doing religious traditional things. When I was younger, that was something that I did value a lot. Now, when it comes to the topic of trans women being allowed to compete in biological women's sports, I don't know if I really have a real opinion to this. I think it could be interesting if they had trans sports, professional trans sports. I just know maybe the population might not be large enough. That's the only thing I can really think, because I don't really I would say that someone who was born biologically female versus someone who was born biologically male, bodies change, hormones change, strength levels. They mentioned like lung capacity, bone density, muscle mass, the size of like your feet, your hands, your grip, your stride. It's all definitely impacted. And in a lot of sports, different types of like maybe steroids and things like that. I don't really know if I've heard anybody talking about testosterone in sports, but steroids in sports, or even the amount of testosterone that certain women might produce, or certain males maybe having less testosterone. I mean, I know that, in sports, I don't think they really test for testosterone levels, to my knowledge. I mean, they might have the statistics to it, but I don't know if that would qualify or disqualify somebody. But all the other like biological, features, internal and external, that someone born of a male or female biology would definitely differ, and especially even before puberty, but post-puberty for sure, the sizes and everything would be different. And when people start taking different hormones, yes, if you're a trans woman and you're taking hormones, a lot of that bone density and things, muscle mass is going to like decrease, but you're not necessarily going to be like shorter, to the extent that you would be like an average maybe height or physical strength of like an average, because there is variation, but an average female athlete within that, whatever the athletic field is. I feel like overall the average trans female would be maybe at an advantage there, but I don't know what I really think about like the ability to compete. Should they be allowed to compete? I mean, there's nowhere else for them to compete, so that is something to look into. I think maybe there should be a different category. I think that it's kind of too new of a question that our sports aren't even like able to address at the moment. That's kind of my opinion on that. That should they be allowed to compete? I mean, it's kind of hard to say because I can think of multiple scenarios where it could be even balanced. Say, for example, you have a basketball team and you have two centers that are both trans females on opposite female basketball teams. I would say that would be possibly, if their size and muscle mass and things and ability were pretty even. I don't see how that would be a competitive advantage, if you're looking at individual statistics, and if the individual statistics are, with speed and being able to dunk the ball and palm the ball, and run faster and, have a height advantage, jumping advantage and things like that. I think that is something to look at, but I feel like the teams wouldn't maybe be unequally matched. I just think statistics wise, it's possible that both of those centers could potentially have higher scoring statistics and higher statistics with maybe rebounds or maybe like getting fouled by, a trans female athlete compared to being fouled by a female who's biologically female athlete. That might be different too. Like in soccer, the same thing. Like the teams it's possible to potentially get teams that are evenly matched, but again, with individual statistics, you might have one person outrunning everybody and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of like, I don't think that there is an equal advantage, but also I feel like the quantity, the amount of trans female athletes that are out there, I feel like it's not like there's like somebody's gonna make one full team of trans female athletes and just like dominate the league. They would likely be spread out and there would likely be few. But if you take like individual sports, like say snowboard competitions or running or swimming and those individual type of like rock climbing, individual types of sporting competitions, I would say that the biological females might be at a disadvantage. But I just think that, maybe it's too early to just be straight up placing just as just a typical draft, placing trans females into leagues and just, having them compete with no altering of any kind of conversation or rules or I think that the sports need to kind of come up with strategies for different types of people. Like, say, for example, if there was an intersex person, would they be able to compete? I mean, it's kind of like, where do we really draw the line? Because I feel like people would make more of an exception for an intersex person, but the intersex person could still technically have those advantages as well, those physical strength advantages as well. So for that reason, I feel like, trans women should be allowed to compete, but I do think that, I don't really know a whole lot about all the legality and stuff with like sports and all the like qualifying and all that kind of stuff, like, what's okay to wear or not wear or whatever. I'm not too aware of all that. Not to wear, but what's okay as far as like ways to be. Let me see. I think it would be kind of I think we just need to have more conversation around it. I don't think it needs to be like so hidden. Or like I don't know, I just don't think it needs to be I don't know what else to say. Like I think that there needs to be a bigger conversation about it, because it seems to me that where things stand at the moment, to my knowledge, we don't have a lot of the rules kind of fleshed out yet. So I think it's maybe early to try and tell. Sorry, I got a meeting I'm trying to log on to soon. I think it's early. To try and sorry, I'm trying to get ready for a meeting. Somebody just sprung on me all of a sudden, so I'm setting everything up here so that my camera is facing where I want it to face. I get tired of having all these Zoom meetings, man. Like, I'm so like over it. Like, it kind of annoys me. I'm just like, dude, like, my last couple days, I'm kind of, like, not fully logged in either. Like, for the full day. Like, I'm logged in, but I'm not, like, fully, like, swamped. And I was just trying to rest this afternoon. I thought this meeting was going to be at 10:30, and now it's, like, you know, the supervisor messages me at, like, 12:15. And I'm barely responding at like 12:30. It's like, are you available this afternoon? Like, yeah, I'm available now. It's like, let's just get this stupid thing over with so I don't have to be online all day. Like, I'm getting kind of annoyed, honestly. I don't know. They're kind of making it I don't like it when things take longer than they need to take. It's just, you know, I feel like I'm just kind of being put on hold and having to wait for all these, like, meetings to kind of come through when they're not really fully scheduled. And it's kind of disrupting my day. So I guess I'm glad I didn't go out for lunch, because I would have still been probably on the road. And, you know, if I'm going to be on the camera, I have to make sure, like, my hair is kind of, like, presentable, and I don't know. It's not really a big deal, but I'm kind of just like over this job. Like, I kind of wish almost that I would have scheduled to end work before tomorrow being my last day. But tomorrow's my last day, so I kind of wanted to end, you know, I kind of want it to be over, but it's like, they keep trying to meet and meet and meet, and it's like they already came up with, like, basically they're trying to come up with the final list of who's going to take on which clients. But at this point, there's only one person really asking me about it, and or three people maybe, but it's like I don't need to have a meeting about it. Like, some things I feel like you can just text me, the list. Like, I don't need to be like having a whole meeting. I already explained kind of all of the cases, and I feel like, they're kind of taking it to like a weird level. It's kind of just like, I don't know, I'm kind of getting annoyed because I'm done working. I've been done working for like days now. I'm like done with my job, but I still have to be online, if that makes sense. So it's like I still have to be available if clients want to meet. I told my last clients that, the last contact I'm going to be available for is noon today, so we've already passed that noon point. So I shouldn't get any client time. And if I do, I don't really need to like talk to them at the moment, but yeah, I'm really kind of like not into the whole like, okay, let's talk, about all these different things. Like, I'm kind of just trying to just not focus on this job anymore because I'm pretty much done with it. I finished before we went on the Christmas break, and so now it's like we solidified everything before the break, but now he's kind of like, one of the supervisors is like, let's keep meeting about this to see if everything looks like it's going to pan out right. Like, I feel like this isn't a place where I need to be in this conversation. I feel like this conversation needs to be had between the supervisor and the remaining staff, not me. But that's just my opinion. I don't know if they're asking me if I'm free. I'm free. I'm not doing anything. But I don't know. I'm just easily annoyed by stuff. You know how it is when you're kind of just like over something. Like, it's like I'm ready to be done and free of this, and they just keep holding on, it seems like. So yeah, I might have to stop recording. We'll see. He might wait all the way till the last second. I was asking what time. So hopefully they can just tell me what time to be available, because I don't want to be waiting around till like 4 o'clock. It's like I have like 3 more hours to just be like sitting and waiting. I think he's coming online now. Telling him I'm free now.